Hello, this is Maciek, and I'm here at Pax8. As you've seen from some of my posts before, I'm super excited about everything that is going on here. And I was just introduced to Phylip. Phylip is in charge of EMEA expansion of the marketplace and generally the channel.
That's right. So I'm the former CRO of Pax8 EMEA, and today I'm the Senior Vice President of Marketplace and Channel Expansion.
Fantastic, and I really wanted to speak with Phylip, about how Pax8 is helping value-added resellers to transform into the managed service providers world. As you know, EMEA is slightly behind in terms of how the market is evolving. There are way more resellers in EMEA than in US, and I'm super happy that Pax8 is pushing further and further into EMEA with some innovative ideas that I've seen today at the Pax8 Beyond.
Yeah, so if you think of the world back in the 1990s, when I first got into the technology space, we were selling hardware and we were selling software. And that software came on floppy disks or whatever it is, and then it became kind of downloads and everything else like that. Now today, SaaS or software is in the cloud. And more importantly, it's become a subscription. Okay, it's not just a license now. It has a subscription that needs to be turned on. It might be monthly or quarterly or annually, and it's got a start date and a finish date. So where we are helping the VAR to MSP transition is to give them the tools that they need to be able to manage all of those software subscriptions in the cloud.
What do you think are the biggest challenges that the VARs are facing when trying to transition to the MSP world?
There's three challenges that they face. Is first of all, instead of moving product to be delivering a service, so there's a service element that's part of it. That's the first challenge. The second one is also a cultural challenge. If you're moving from a VAR to an MSP, it's not on a deal-by-deal basis. It's now the customer lifetime value that's really important. So moving to a place that you are maybe commissioning people and giving commissions to salespeople in a different way is a piece that's needed massively. And then the biggest thing is obviously the different tools and technology you need to use. Instead of maybe using an ERP system, you need to be moving to use a PSA or an ITSM system when you make that move to becoming an MSP.
I totally agree with that, and so many times we spoke about the mindset change that needs to happen when you want to move from VAR to MSP world, but it's also the systems, the processes, the service delivery. What about, you also mentioned something super important, which is the sales transformation. What about that? I think selling projects, selling piece by piece, step by step, is completely different to how you sell the service, the subscription, the managed services.
Yeah, and if you think about it, the break-fix market that largely the VAR has been serving before, the message has been from the small business owner to that VAR as being, fix me, right? Can you get this back up and running? Can you turn it off and on again, right? That's where they were at. Okay, then it moved through to more solutions-led selling. Can you guide me? So not fix me now, can you guide me? And then when the internet came along and the whole digital transformation piece, now the message just changed to, can you transform me? Right? And then the next part of it is the security piece of it with, can you secure me? So I think in the world that we find ourselves in at the moment, it's those changes as a culture in the business that the VAR has to embrace if they want to be in the managed services space. And in fairness, a lot of them are doing very, very well. They are doing it, they're embracing the new technology, and they're doing well. And the reason that I know that is we've got an increasing amount of VARs that are coming to us at Pax8 and saying, can you help me? And so through our academy and through our training services that we've got, any VAR that wants to get into managed services provision, we will help and hold their hand as they go through that journey.
So you already have some trainings and some enablement?
Yes. So if you go to Pax8 Academy, you can see lots of different kind of trainings and online courses and various things that we have. Becoming a Microsoft Cloud Services provider, that's probably a big one, right? So how they can get their business fit and ready to become a managed services company if they want to go that way, and doing it slowly, okay? So it might be If you're a VAR today, and I'm looking down the lens of the camera here as I say that, you might be a VAR, 100% of your revenue is maybe coming from traditional break fix and supplying products and moving tin, as we would call it. Well, set yourself a simple goal of saying, hey, in the next year, we want 10% of our revenue maybe to come from managed services. What would that look like, and what do you need to do that? We've got a whole team at the Academy that can help hold your hand and guide you on that.
And this is a US academy, or have you got an EMEA version?
Globally, so Michael Escalera from Germany leads our team in EMEA, and we've got a whole team of people that can help you with that. So wherever you are, if you're listening to this anywhere in Europe, from the Baltics all the way to DACH, to Benelux, to UK, Ireland, wherever you are, we've got a team that can help you in your language.
You mentioned cybersecurity, which obviously is a big topic at the moment in the MSP space. If you would show VARs, what is the big difference in delivering cybersecurity as a VAR versus delivering cybersecurity as a managed service provider? I think it's one of the areas that is typically easy for the VARs to understand the difference.
I think the key difference there is in, as a VAR, it would be providing the technology solution. As an MSP, the function is to provide the business outcome. Because the technology solution that you have might vary from company to company based on their vertical. So traditional VARs, they tend to focus on maybe one or two key vendors that they have. As an MSP, you might have to have mastery over 6 or 7 vendors to provide the right technology solution based on if they were in warehousing or logistics, or if they're in legal or accountancy practice. So there are different technology solutions, and a lot of it around data and privacy, right? You know what the DACH area is like yourself, seeing as we're both from Europe, right? It is the hardest area from a data privacy perspective to do business. You must have a data center there, you know all the challenges that are there in the way that we're doing that. So some vendors might not suit if you're a managed service provider being asked to deliver a cybersecurity outcome.
The next question I have is, today I've heard something really breakthrough, okay? And Scott delivered a keynote, and in the keynote, one thing that I really picked up was this kind of a MSP 3.0, 4.0, actually the MIP concept.
Right.
If I'm a VAR and I want to transform, do I need to go through the MSP step to MIP, or what's the best way for me to become an MIP of the future?
Okay, so I'm glad you were excited about MIP, as we affectionately call it. And for anybody listening here, it stands for Managed Intelligence Provider. We think we are at the cusp of a agentic inflection point, and you can just Google, if you just Google right now, or use Copilot or ChatGPT, a managed intelligence provider, you'll see a white paper that we've written based on Scott's announcement that he did today, and then lots of tools that we're doing, beginning with guided growth in data and AI if partners want to go that way. And you are correct, you don't need to go from MSP 1.0, which is the VAR journey, that's what Scott shared. MSP 2.0 was moving across into managed services. If you're a VAR today, you can jump the whole thing and go straight to becoming a MIP if you want. It's going to be a little harder because you're going to have to do some learning about the way marketplaces work and the way the systems work and the technology they need. It's going to be a little bit harder, but it might be easier from a go-to-market perspective because you're first. But again, just log on to Pax8.com and log on to the Academy. We have lots of tools and resources. Please reach out to us. We're here to help you if you want to become an MSP or a managed intelligence provider and become a MIP.
Loads of VARs, their business is based on selling the hardware. Pax8 doesn't provide any hardware distribution or any support for the hardware sells. How would you see that VARs can work with Pax8 but not source hardware somewhere else? How do you recommend that this works in the future?
Well, think about it from a consumer perspective. For you as a shopper right now, there is a mix of products and services that you buy online, but there's others that you will maybe buy in a traditional way. So I go to a local farmer's market. I like to buy locally sourced vegetables and beef and products. I do not want to be buying that online. I want the distance from farm to fork to be as short as possible, because we know that food doesn't travel well. So exactly the same thing is happening with hardware right now, in my view, is that there are some really great companies on the face of this planet that have got warehouses and logistics, and they are very good at doing that. We made a strategic decision when Pax8 was birthed that the problem with cloud services was such a big problem for us to fix, that for us to do that was enough, let alone us being involved in hardware and services. So right now, most of the managed service providers are doing both. They're doing a mix of it. So they will be going to other distributors to go and buy the products and services that they need on hardware, but they'll be coming to a marketplace like ours in order to buy their cloud service subscriptions.
I'm just thinking about hardware needing also to turn into this managed service world somehow at certain point in time, but I haven't heard about any provider that is actually doing some kind of a hardware as a managed service opportunity. Some of the MSPs, some of the VARs are telling me that if they want to turn hardware into a managed service, they need to kind of front cache it almost. They need to support the, kind of take their own cache and, kind of deliver it as a service on behalf of the vendors, because even vendors sometimes cannot deliver this kind of a offer. And I'm kind of wondering whether there's some innovation that you see coming in the future, especially like everything is going to go to the managed service and as a service setup that is going to support that.
I agree with all of what you've said. I think the only companies that have been successful in delivering device as a service, as we would call it, would be your mobile phone company, right? Where you're committing to a 3 or a 2-year airtime contract and including the hardware and paying it down on that. The challenge is with desktop devices, if you're doing a Windows device with whichever vendor that you're choosing, that's a lot harder to do, because they don't want to be committing into long-term contracts, because the workforce is always changing, right? So it's going to be interesting to see where that ends, and I think that's probably more of a challenge for the big hardware vendors to solve, not us. I think we're seeing some interesting things where they are fixing it using AI and putting GPUs on the devices right now and embedding AI. That's interesting what they're doing to have that running at the edge. But for us, the problems that we are fixing right now at Pax8 are different in the sense of, we think that the digital buyer and what they need going forward, the explosion of marketplaces at large and how people want to buy more and more from a marketplace, we think those are bigger challenges to be fixed in the economy rather than device as a service. So it's going to be interesting where it ends up, Ajay.
Okay, the last question is, who is the big, who's going to deliver the concert tomorrow? Because that's a big question on everybody's mind here at Pax8 Beyond.
What do you mean, deliver on the concert at the end? I say the answer the same every single year with everyone that asks me for our closing act. We become famous all over the world, and we at Pax8 for our closing acts. And if you're there on the evening, you'll get to find out who it is when they walk on stage.
It's it's my first Pax8 Beyond, and it's kind of a buzz around on every corner in every hall. Everybody is kind of speaking about it and trying to guess. So congratulations on that. Fantastic event. It's day one and I'm already blown away. I cannot wait for the other keynotes, and thank you for the interview.
And are you coming to Pax8 in Amsterdam, Pax8 Beyond EMEA? We'd love to see you there.
Absolutely. I'll do my best to be there. It's much shorter trip, and I'll try to be there.
And I'll make sure that maybe you'll have a really good closing act over there as well in the concert in Amsterdam in October.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Philip.
Thank you for your time, Magic, and thanks for allowing me to be a guest with you today.
Thank you.